1.
When are we doing? Good evening and welcome to the June 23rd, 2025 Board of Select Persons meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I look for a motion to approve the minutes from May 19th, May 27th, and June 11th.
So moved to approve the minutes. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Look for a motion to accept the warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, and would somebody read the announcements, please?
The next semi-sesquicentennial meeting for the town's 250th anniversary will be Wednesday, July 2nd, Wednesday, July 2nd, Thursday, July 17th, and Thursday, August 7th at 6 p.m. at the fire station. Please reach out to Lisa LePage for more information, 651-1594. The tax collector and town clerk will be closed on Fridays until September 26th. Sorry for the inconvenience. The planning board will meet on Wednesday, July 16th at 7 p.m. They will not meet on July 2nd. The town office will be closed on Friday, July 4th. The select board is meeting every other week. The next select board meeting will be Monday, July 7th at 7 p.m. Bingo will be held at the Brick Town Hall on Wednesdays in July, the 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. Doors open at 4:40 and calling will begin at 6 p.m. There will be 50-50 and snacks will be available for purchase. Come join the fun. As part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public, will be tolerated during any meetings. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the board of select persons outside the public meeting. Please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org. And the municipal building is open tomorrow for a cooling station from 9 to 6 p.m.
Thank you. We'll move on to department reports. Casey Gray from Remix.
Thank you for having me. So I've just printed my list the way I have, and property under contract. Map 39, lot 105 is still under contract, and the procedure for performing a foreclosure on an unknown entity was started. In the meantime, I know that Stan had been working on still tracking down other leads for heirs of the Consolidated Construction and the Martells, and he has been in contact with one of the Martell family members who has been trying to help him gather information on the heirs and some of the avenues that he can continue to follow leads. Because the unknown foreclosure on an unknown party is a 18-month process, which is a long time. Last week on Monday, we listed 140 Parsons Field Road. We had previously listed this property, and at that time it was discovered that there was a substantial DHS lien on it, and Stan was able to get that lien released. The property needs about $15,000 to $20,000 in cleanup according to the dump guys. We had listed the property for $45,000. When we had previously listed the property, we had some interest from abutters. And so when we first listed it again, I brought all of the abutters' information packages. We've received no offers today, which was a real surprise to me after how many phone calls I received. And so looking forward, I would recommend a price reduction to $40,000, which was the price we had previously listed it for, and continuing the listing for 2 weeks until the next meeting. Would the board like to vote on whether to reduce the price to $40,000? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the time to speak or not about that law.
Yeah, you can.
This is a two-part question.
Okay.
You might want to sit down. Charles Pellegrino. This is a two-part question for the board. We're gonna hop to the road commissioner's job, where I work with him, and we do a lot of ditching in town. There's a lot of ditching to be done, and we're running out of room to put the ditchings. We can't haul anything down to the transfer station any bigger than 6 inches for rotten wood, whatever. Right now, down to the old dump out back, there's probably 300 yards of ditchings piled up down there. There's probably 2 logging truckloads of wood. There's quite a pile down there. There's no place to get rid of this. It's already filling up half of the snow dump right now. And we've only hauled them there for 1 week. We got to find a place to start dumping this stuff. And between my property and Ricky's properties, we're trying to save that for our jobs and not fill it in with all the town's debris. Okay, that's the first part of the question. The second question is, I bid on that Nichols lot for $5,000 when it first went up for sale. And you guys turned it down, and then it went back to her. And what I'm proposing to the town is if you let me buy that lot, and I'll pay back all the back taxes, all the fees, whatever it takes to get it, I'm not going to pay $40,000. But if I buy that lot for what's owed on it, I'll let the town use it for dumping all the ditchings. If they sell it to me for what they got into it.
How long could they dump there?
They can dump there as long as I own it. I want to fill the whole lot in.
I
You-
guess, I almost think it's a good idea, but is it something you're gonna hold on to for a while, or keep it for 3 years and then sell it?
I don't sell anything. I'm going to keep it.
Famous last words. I'm not saying about you,
Yeah.
you know.
I thought the money goes to DHS for
No.
property.
No.
Anything over than what the town gets
Now,
goes to DHS.
why I want to buy it, and you could say to yourself, why don't we just keep it for the town and let the town dump there? Well, when you dump all that stuff, you got to keep covering it. And if that town owns that, you're going to have to pay us to haul in gravel every time we got to cover it over. But if I own it, I'm going to do it with my gravel.
You're gonna clean up the environmental concerns that are there?
Yep. But before I do that, if I did get the lot, I'd have to fill the top in first so I can have a place to get off the road and level, haul everything up top. But I'm not gonna pay $40,000 for it. I'm just putting it out there for an offer. If you guys wanna take it, that's fine, and if you don't, we gotta find a place to start dumping all this stuff.
I think that's a worthwhile thing to look into. I don't think we have to make a decision
And
tonight.
everybody says, oh, I'll take the fill. Well, when you bring a bunch of fill to people's house, then they say, when are you coming back to push it over? I don't want what's in that load. There's a sign in there, take that out. It just doesn't work out. So,
People always like to get horse in the mouth.
oh, all the time, all the time. There's leaves in that pile. Okay, but that's why I want it, because I got jobs too, and I'll fill that lot in a matter of time. And if you want, you can put something in there. It's not for the town to dump in there, it's for the road commissioner, whoever's road commissioner. You know, if you want to put in a 6-year, whoever's road commissioner can put any ditchings in there they want, because it's going to take a lot. I think that's the only thing that lot's good for, is fill it in, and then put a building in there later on. So,
Ricky Richardson. We met with Joanne and got her input on that. And we don't wanna plug up the transfer station with material. I mean, it's operational, and she's doing a wonderful job down there, but we don't wanna put the burden on the transfer station. When my father was road commissioner, it was a problem. There was a lot more people wanting fill, but you gotta be careful because it can come back to bite you. If there's any debris in there, or metal, or trash in the ditches that we pull out, you know, they're gonna come back and say, you know, I don't want this. We needed like a central location to get rid of debris, you know, not just ditches, but brush and everything from a storm or a winter cleanup or spring cleanup. We've been talking about it for a while. We just want you to consider it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's either that or we gotta haul the stumps and the logs somewhere to have them disposed of. So that's my idea anyways.
I think it's a generous offer. I feel like I'm compelled to provide some advice, but I think we do, as a town, have a responsibility to show that we got the most that we could for it. And I think that's a great idea for the lot. So I think going through that process is probably the best way to show our work in terms of the sales price. I'd encourage you to make an offer next week. You would have been the only one this week. So just looking forward for the next 2-week period, would the town like to reduce the price to $40,000 rather than $45,000? And would you like to vote on that? Or any other commentary?
I'd like to weigh Charles's proposal. A couple weeks isn't going to make that much difference. I think that's going to save the town a lot more than $40,000 over the years. You know, if he starts hauling to Sanford, what's it going to take? 2 hours round trip to Sanford. What do they get for a truck now? $100 an hour?
So are you saying you'd like to leave the price where it is and let the listing run for another 2 weeks until the next meeting?
I'd like to see it stay frozen for the moment till we can have some time to digest what he spoke about. I think he's come up with a good proposal. I think it's going to save a lot of money down the road. It's just not going to save a lot of money right off the bat. Just my opinion. Just my opinion.
I'm not crazy about melding the two together. I'd rather sell the lot. And if Charlie wants to put an offer in for the lot, let him put an offer in for the lot. And we'll weigh it like we would in the other offer. And if we get to the point where we need a place to dump that stuff, and he's got a place, we pay him to dump it. I don't know why we'd mix it. To me, it just makes it difficult.
You're not gonna pay to dump it there. I'm not charging.
If you pay $40,000, we would.
I wouldn't buy it for $40,000.
All right, so that's all I'm saying, is depending on, you know what I mean? What I'm saying is if we need a spot to dump
Mixing
it.
the two together.
I just don't like mixing the two together. I think it makes it complicated. I mean, do you put it in the deed? It just makes it, Charlie's a man of his word. As long as he's sitting here, he will honor his agreement.
Yep.
But someday, we're all not gonna, you just don't know what can happen down the road. So I just would rather have it be sell the lot, buy the lot, and if the road commissioner needs a spot to dump ditching and Charlie happens to have the spot, instead of trucking it to Sanford and paying them, we save the trucking and dump it and pay Charlie or anybody else that's willing to take it.
So what are you gonna do with all the stuff down the transfer station now? That has to go somewhere. You just can't keep piling it. That has to go somewhere.
Well, I don't know what the answer is for that. I don't know that I didn't know we're just dumping piles of stuff that we are gonna have to move it.
I've had it for 5 years, the piles. Take a look at it.
Yeah, I don't know where it is down there, so I wouldn't know. you know, so I don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
But,
thank you.
but I wouldn't recommend dumping any more down there, because it makes no sense to dump it there and then pick it up again and go dump it somewhere else. Well, if you have to pay the money, if Sanford is the place, there's gotta be a place that takes it.
Do you know what that's gonna cost the town?
I don't know, but I do know.
It's gonna cost a lot more than 40 grand.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, what's it gonna cost to move that pile?
Whatever time and material is. Time, labor.
Probably 3 days.
It's no different than anything else, but you start trucking trailer truckloads to Sanford, you're gonna pay dearly. I'll tell you right now, because they don't want mixed loads.
Oh, I dump there all the time. I know what they
How much
charge.
do they charge you?
It's ultra expensive.
Okay,
They do it by the weight, they pay by the pound.
yeah.
And then they charge you for everything you dump, then they sort it and chip it all up and sell it back to you on the other end. You go there and dump a load, and on your way out, you pick a load of wood chips up that you paid to dump the day before, right? But that's the business, that's the way it is. I don't know the answer, I don't have the answer. If somebody said 2 years ago, we're dumping into a pile that at some point we have to pick up and move again, 2 years ago, I would have said, makes no sense to keep adding to that pile.
That's been there 5-6 years.
Somebody said it 5 years ago, we're dumping, and we're gonna need to move it in 5 years.
Oh, we have,
It's the first I've heard of it, so I didn't know.
okay.
So,
Has DEP been there to look at that property for any future anything, whether it's dumping? I mean, I don't have an issue with it, but I don't want to see the town get in trouble if that's considered wetlands and shouldn't be filled in.
at the transfer station or here?
That piece of land,
Parsons.
we were gonna buy that piece of land before it ever, we were gonna buy it as part of Mark Nichols' property. And it fell through at the very last minute. And anyway, that piece of land was gonna go with it until we found out it was like $111,000 DHS lien on it, and I said, I'm done, I don't wanna deal with that. So we ended up, and it was that very 3 acres or whatever it is that's there, was part of that. This was years ago, like 8 years ago. And I just was always told it's wetlands, and you can only fill in 4,300 square feet, so.
I don't know the answer to that either. That would be,
It's a great idea, because it's pretty dumpy down there, but
yeah.
just wouldn't want to see anyone get in trouble, you know?
No. Well, I mean, certainly something to consider. I guess we'll have to look at all the options. So you proposing taking everything that's down there now at the transfer station and moving it up here as part of, you could,
It doesn't have to be done now, but you just can't keep adding to them piles.
well, I wouldn't, I just said I mean, I'm almost ready to make a motion saying don't add to it tomorrow. Like, why would
Can
we
I offer another
add anything that we're moving
suggestion?
twice?
There are other lots that are actually owned by the town, I think, and maybe looking into some of those that are not just the tax acquired ones, because the tax acquired has that other level of scrutiny in terms of, you know, proceeds to a previous owner or proceeds back to DHS, for example. That maybe there is another place within the town, the lots that the town actually owns, that could be an option for you. And I think Stan has a list, if it's helpful.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the table?
No motion?
I'm seeing none.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it then as it is, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Lisa LePage with the town celebration.
Hey guys. Giving you update on the August 8th, 9th, 250 birthday time capsule event. Things are coming well. Last week we walked School Street and have placed where we're putting items. We also are going to be offering to reseal the time capsule. So, 2 places. I got to find my notes because I'm all off. There we go. So we have envelopes that gives you details of what you should or should not put in the envelope and seal it. And starting August 8th and 9th, we will collect them. They can be picked up at the fire department or in Alicia's office. They can be returned to the fire department or Alicia's office. Cutoff date, we're looking for September 30th. This leads us into part 2. October 18th, we're looking at collaborating with Mike Carroll with the toucher truck and the fire truck pole. The purpose of the fire truck pole, which is what we've been dealing with all along, is money raised in the teams sponsoring their pole, is going to the restoration of the antique fire truck. Any money that we do not use that we have been raising for this event goes to the fire truck, not staying. But Mark and Mike Carroll and the guys down there that did touch a truck, we're all collaborating together. So it's part 2 of the event in August. We're asking...
Can I back up there a minute? If we're taking in donations and stuff through the rec department,
in a separate account.
And you don't spend all that money, you can't say that it goes to the fire truck.
But that's what we've been saying from day one. That's how it was supposed to be set up from day one. That was the whole purpose.
Has anybody heard that money going, you've heard of that? Am I missing something? Have you heard of that, Brady?
I heard it. I've heard it out of here. Yeah.
Out here or in the meeting? I mean, it's first time, I'm confused. It's the first I've heard of it. And I don't think we ever voted to say the leftover money goes to the fire truck.
I personally haven't said it several times here, John.
And I apologize.
So that I know.
I apologize.
Because you guys nominated the Historical Society, the fire department, rec department, and the research club to put this event on with no money. We have raised over $7,000 for the sales of the calendar that we've created. We still have the expenses out that we have to pay for. But it's been said from day one, whatever funds, because we were going to do the fire truck pole that same day, but it's just too much. So we've now collaborated with Mike Carroll, and it's Fire Safety Week. So we're going to do fire safety, touch a truck, and the fire truck pole.
The problem is if we take a donation with a caveat to it, the people have to vote. And again, I'm sorry, I apologize for bringing this up last minute, but in my mind, and I apologize again that I've missed it when you've said it, if we take any donation that has a caveat to it that says this money must be used for X, Y, and Z, leftover money to the fire truck, the people have to vote for that.
Even though where we're getting the donations, that is what we tell them, what we're doing?
I guess we need to take a look at it a little closer, but I know that we have...
This isn't new. This is...
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm just...
Is going in a designated account?
Yes. Under the umbrella of Parks and Rec, but it's
a separate account.
Its own account. You know
Yeah.
what? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, no, I have it. It is a separate account Julie set up.
Now, what happens come December 31st with that account? Does that?
Well, it's in the rec, rec donations, so the rec department can spend it. So the money's being donated to the rec department. So if somebody makes a designated donation to the rec department, they can spend that money. I'm just concerned about the fact that the residual money is now going to a antique fire truck. And I'm not against that. I don't want to get caught with our, pants down at the end saying, wait a second. I didn't know the leftover money was going to a fire truck, and the people haven't voted for that. It's, when you accept a donation that has conditions, the town's people need to vote for it. So,
Even though the conditions are for the August event / the fire truck. Because a lot of the people's concern is, well, what's going to happen with the leftover money? Said it will go to the restoration of the antique fire truck. That's pretty specific.
I wish we had put, because we specifically made a motion to accept that money into the rec department, whether it was coming through, we spoke, and any donations you were gonna take for this had to come in through Julie's office.
Correct.
And would be made out to the rec department.
Under a special account.
Under a special account for this purpose. And again, I wish the motion said the leftover money would go to the fire truck, and I'm trying to see if we can do that on our own.
So it's for the restoration of it, like towards that? Like is there going to be an expense? Like is there something that they're going to do that then you can give us the invoice for that we pay towards that?
What do you mean?
Like you said it's for the restoration of the old fire truck, correct? That's what the funds. So if we kept it in the account, is there a way, like if they have an expense, if they're going to do something with that there can be an invoice like we've been doing and pay that bill or pay towards that?
And that's why
But instead of just giving the lump sum at the end, we still are doing what we've been doing, which is we have an expense, we have a purchase order, we have an invoice, right? We pay it out of that account. So I'm just wondering if it stays in there until there's something on that we can then expend it to.
It can't be used for anything but the event, correct?
Well, I think that's part of the event. I'm under the impression that you're saying at the end, whatever's left, you were just going to say, here's to the fire department. Instead of if you have $2,000 left or $1,000, but then there's an invoice, well, they want to do this to the restoration truck and it's going to cost this much, and you pay for that and then zero it out.
Why couldn't we transfer any money left over at the end of the year? Just have a separate article say that if there's $3,000 left over that's in that special account, then it goes to restoration of the antique fire truck. I think that would be
as long as
simple.
the people vote for it, I think that would be simple. But it is clear that we can accept the grant monies and donations, but it says that the town has to have appropriated those funds in accordance with the requirement, the grant donation and the reimbursement. So what it basically says is we have to say we want to spend $5,000, a number, on fixing the old antique fire truck, and we're going to take donations for that. And any donations can be expended for that, assuming we've basically budgeted for it. So we budget for it, and we budget for the donations to come in.
Well, if they give us some, like you said, reimbursements, right? Like, so if there's something that they want to do to it, can't, like, reimburse for it at the end, where if there's something they're going to do to...
Well, I don't think we can take money out of the rec department to fix a fire truck, antique or not, which is essentially what you're doing. And the answer to your previous question, it would never happen, but if the rec director came in tomorrow and said, we've got $7,000 in donations, I want to put in a pickleball court with it, he could do it if we approved it. Now, we wouldn't do it because we know that these donations are for that activity, but those donations went to the rec department donation account. And and the rec department is aware they're there and they know that's where that money's going. But if the board voted, that money could go anywhere.
Even if it's a separate line item, it's specifically set up for the celebration, and what's left after the celebration
Well,
goes
we
We've
said
all
from day
agreed to
one,
that.
it was a two-part
We've
event
all-
going on.
Again, we've all agreed that, and that's what's gonna happen with the money. I don't want to make you think that the money's going somewhere else. That's where it's going. I just, again, I'm losing my memory and I'm willing to admit it, that tonight's the first night that I heard that any of that money was going to that fire truck. So, my
When
apologies
we've been
for,
out
but,
pitching
yeah,
for donations for the calendar and stuff, we said, it is for the event, the 8th and the 9th, and then part 2 is we set the date for October 18th. But any balances was for the fire truck. Because Vinnie wanted us to do it on the 9th, and there's no way we can do those two different activities.
I'm sure we have a way to accommodate it. It's just gonna it might be a quick special town meeting.
It's not gonna happen till after October anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we have time. I mean, it's not, and now that everybody knows that's what the understanding is, that we have.
And I don't think they can restore the fire truck in October. I don't know.
And we
I
could
know.
put it on the November ballot. Could put the question on.
Yeah, as long as it's done by the end of the year, we could do it. I mean, that's fine. And then you would certainly know what's left over at that point.
Yeah, by
So-
then you should have a good balance.
Okay. This event on the 18th of October, with a rain day of the 25th, is happening down at FR's, down at their field. Snowmobile Club has been invited to do the food like they've been doing. We're looking for teams, 8 to 10 members of teams. So they have a rope on, they're trying to get the lightest fire truck there is. And they pull the fire truck, how far for like 20 seconds, or whatever that is. And that's how they determine who's the winning people are. So, back onto August. We're looking to find out if we can put the power on at the old station. We're not going inside the station to set up for the event, but we need power for the bouncy house and the obstacle course. We need power and from that. Oh, and we have Dee Dee and Glenn are doing their karaoke, and PMP is playing for an hour. And they're going to be in the parking lot of the old station. All the toys, the kids' games, and bouncy houses and stuff is going to be, if you're looking at the fire station, to the left of that property, which he's given us permission to use so that we're keeping the kids in a safe area. So we're looking for power.
Bernie says it hasn't been shut
Never
off.
been shut off.
I was
I was told it was shut off.
the
The circuit
power-
breaker's been shut.
The power is still on. The main breaker to the building has been shut off because there was a select board member who was worried about the lights being left on.
All right, well, we just need
The power,
able to-
there is still power to that building, and I can coordinate with you to get the power
okay, so
turned
that we
on.
can,
Yep.
okay.
There's the bill.
We're also asking you guys, wonderful selectmen, to join us in our parade. It's a community event. Lineup is at 9. It's growing. I've got multiple floats coming in, a lot of antique vehicles coming in, and some political speakers. And Brady, aren't you the chairman?
I am.
We need a speech.
Okay.
And we say short and sweet.
It will be short and sweet.
Want to let people who have bought mounts of calendars, next Saturday is the time that we're going for the recent pictures. So if your building is going to be in the calendar and you want it spiffed up, you have till next Saturday to make sure it's all spiffed up. Our next meeting is the 31st of June and the 7th of July.
30th of June. There's no 31st.
There's
of
no
June.
31st, so Lord knows what I'm doing. Yeah, not even close.
I know, I was going to say, Anne Marie
July
had given them
2nd.
to me. I think I have them in the announcements. I wrote all 3 of them she'd given me. July 2nd, July 17th, and then August 7th.
Right, and August 7th is the night before the event
Yeah.
starts. We need volunteers, we need helping setting up tables and stuff. It should be a good event. a lot coming together, communities coming together. And I just wanted to mention that we do have a few more tables left in the craft fair that's going to be occurring on the 9th at the Bricktown Hall. So we have a few more tables. Questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, I have Gail Libby with Deep Vale.
Gail, did you have anything this week? That might be, I either left you on there from last week or there was a thought to that.
I'm waiting for all the documents to be signed by the select board that I left here on June 11th. Will I get them tonight?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I have Joanne Andrews, Transfer Station.
Got quite a bit today to do. The DEP report was filed, the annual report, 12-page report, and also I gave them verification of at least 3 feet of depth under the metal pile and under the brush pile. We had to confirm that there was 3 feet, at least 3 feet to bedrock. Of course, there's probably 10, 12 feet to bedrock, but Steve went down and dug 3 pits for me, and we took pictures to confirm that. And the FEMA report, has anybody, did we get our money yet? Because we did.
Yeah, there's one set of money Julie said went in.
Okay. I was going through the final report, and I'm a little confused because when we first started, both Scott and I were asked to give an estimate on the amount of debris that we thought would be brought in, and we both said 300 cubic yards. But I see that the only thing that was on the report was 300 cubic yards instead of 600 cubic yards. So that would have made quite a difference. It would have doubled our money, I think, if it had been reported that way. But at least we got, what, was it 52,000? Something like that.
I want to say she said we got $44,000 so far.
Okay, well, there's more coming.
Yeah.
Okay. My expenses so far at the transfer station, 26.5%. I've still got a balance of 73.5%. And those figures are through June 20th. Those of you that think that all we do down there is play with trash, Cortland got an award this week from Mrs. Kulik's kindergarten class. That take-it shop gets more traffic than the supermarket. And when the schools, we do backpacks. They take the backpacks, they clean them, they stuff them at the beginning of the year with stuff that the kid needs. Cortland got the award for pencils. He's provided the kindergarten classes with pencils for an entire year, right out of the take-it shop. So I told him I was going to do this. He's probably embarrassed to death. This is, Brady asked what this was. This is upside down for one thing. This is going on the little attendance building. Paid for with donated returnables. The entire building was paid for it. $4,213.04. And we still have, if my calculations are correct, we still have about $6,000 left in the designated model account. we also have paid for the signage down there through that account. So these are dollars that don't get paid for with taxation. So we are pretty busy. Metal sales, I just sold another load of metal. So far this year, we've taken in $5,204.17 in metal sales. I got too many papers here.
Does Grimmel still pick that up?
Grimmel still picks it up, yeah. Yeah, that way we eliminate a middleman. If we send it somewhere else, we'd get less money, and they're gonna turn around and sell it to Grimmel. No, Grimmel's been very good for us over the years. You want balances? My income so far is $31,007.57, and that's through deposits that I've given as of last Friday. And most of that was in fees that we collect. So we're right on line with what we're supposed to be doing. Now, bad news. The state of Maine has decided that we are now to pay to them the state of Maine management fee at $5 a ton. That's a lot of money. That's money that I haven't budgeted for. But if we take in 2,000 tons, you can do the math. It's a lot of money. That includes municipal solid waste, our household waste, and our demolition. And there's nothing we can do but pay for it. It's collected by Triano, and then they send it to the state. So that's just another little moneymaker that they've come up with. We have a recycling agreement that's going to come up, and we have to notify them as of November of this year so that we can have it in place for January when the recycling agreement is up. We normally go on a 5-year basis. On our municipal solid waste, we go on a 10-year basis, and that's not up until 2028. I've sent in corrections for the planning board. I turned them over on April 16th. The transfer station for 2025, I turned in a few corrections for 2025 on April 16th. On May 5th, I turned in a lot of corrections for the transfer station on May 5th. And I also turned in more corrections for 2025 on May 23rd. And I have to straighten out the designated bottle account because 5 or 6 of the income that we had was put into a new bottle account, not put into the designated account. But those are where I am as far as my budget's concerned.
Have the corrections been made?
I haven't heard a thing. I haven't.
Have you reached out to the treasurer to try to sit down with her to try to get these things?
She's not doing it. She said she's turned it over to the auditors.
Why is that going to the auditors? Isn't it just a simple bookkeeping thing on our end?
You're talking 2025? You're talking current year?
No.
Current year changes? Or 2024 changes?
2024 and 2025 changes.
2025 she should be doing.
She should be making 2025 changes on her own.
Well, I haven't heard.
And the 2024 changes, she was told to keep a list of by the auditor, and then the auditor would make those changes to make sure they weren't made twice. The auditor can't make changes on their own, but
So is the auditor going to sit with the department heads, or?
the auditor's gonna sit with Julie. I think we had an email that said what, next week?
I'll read the email. I asked for an update from the auditing company, and I got a response. Karen and Julie will get together next Tuesday, the 1st, to wrap up the closing the books and single audits. They will go through all the fiscal year 24 adjustments with Julie to make sure everything is posted properly, and that should be it. Final drafts in hand, possibly the week of the 7th for the financial audit and federal compliance audit. He's going to keep us posted if anything changes. So July 1st, they should be sitting with Julie.
They're going to sit with other department heads? I mean, Joanne and the fire department, they're the two biggest departments we have spending money. I know the fire chief has a number of things here that he's been trying to get corrected for months. Nothing's happened. I thought that they were going to sit down, or department heads were going to sit down
With Julie.
with Julie and or the auditor and straighten everything out.
I had a devil of a time doing the 2024 report to the DEP, because it's all based on tonnage, and tonnage is based on what we spend, and everybody keeps saying, well, that the money's there, but it doesn't make a difference what it was spent for, and that's not correct, not for my department. I have to know how much we spend on municipal solid waste, how much we spend on burnable demolition, landfill demolition, because that has to be reported accurately to the state. That's how they figure our recycling rate at the end of the year. So I just wanted an update, that's all.
I think in lieu of sitting down, she emailed everybody and asked them to get back to her with their questions or concerns about their
Which they did.
their department budget.
And obviously she hasn't heard. The fire chief hasn't
I
heard.
assume I'm hoping she's compiled all those, and on Monday, when she sits down with the auditor, they'll look at all those and hopefully make those corrections at the time, is hopefully the plan for Monday.
Okay.
I don't know that that's true, but I can only assume that.
I'm just expressing concerns. Joanne and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago. She was concerned. The fire chief and I had a conversation this morning. He's concerned. And I'm getting concerned because I'm new at this, and I'm really concerned about budget season, how this is going to happen.
Well, as long as it's been, and it's clearly been too long, hopefully at this point we have just over a week to get maybe some answers.
Okay.
I'm just saying, based on
Okay.
the Karen finally showing up and sitting with Julie.
A few weeks ago, Gail Libby, a few weeks ago at this meeting, I asked if department heads and projects would be reviewed before they were posted finally, after the adjusting entries are made, and that we saw a report and concurred with it before it was posted, and I was told yes. So when you say that Karen's going to meet with Julie and they're going to go over the items and then she's going to make them and post them, and that scares me.
Can you provide a report without the entries being posted?
I don't know. I get reports all the time with things. I'm sorry, before the year-end close. Yes, you can.
Yeah, before the year-end close.
Right.
But they would have to post those changes to issue you a report to review.
They would post them, and then we should all get a report and sign off before the year-end closes.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, I hope our treasurer doesn't either.
Well, maybe that's why he said, if they're coming on the 1st,
Yeah?
and they're going to make all the changes,
Yep.
he said he hopes to have a final by the week of the 7th. So perhaps, and I'm just assuming, perhaps their plan is between the 2nd and the 7th to be able to get those reports out to department heads to review and say,
Do you
does
agree?
this look accurate?
Right, okay, as long as it's before the
I
close.
think that would certainly be the prudent way to go. So we should request that.
Yes, because it's difficult to reopen a year, I think. Not impossible, but, okay, thank you.
We are in July, so it can't be that hard to reopen it. We're into July and it hasn't been closed yet, so I don't think another week is gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it till budget season. I have Neil Meltzer with the Water District.
Good evening, Neil Meltzer. Thanks for your vote of support, Charles. Always appreciate it. I wanted to give a quick update on the income study that the Water District has been struggling to get completed. I've spoken at several select board meetings about the consequences of not getting enough people to respond. This is a reminder to folks in the Water District that tomorrow, late afternoon to early evening, Dave Tortoa from RCAP Solutions will be going door to door to those folks who have not responded to the income survey. The over 200 surveys were sent out 3 times. Door to door was already gone through once, and we've received a little over, right around 110 responses. We need, in order to be eligible for loan forgiveness from our biggest funder, the Maine Drinking Water Program, we need 41 more people to respond. So I'm asking the customers of the Limerick Water District, if you have responded and you know someone who has not, please ask them to respond. For those people who have not responded, the survey is completely confidential. The Water District does not get any of the results. The town does not get any of the results. RCAP Solutions is a nonprofit organization based out of Mass. They get the individual results, and they give us a number at the end that says this is the median income of the customers of the Water District. As I tried to point out last week, last time I was here 2 weeks ago, if we don't get at least 41 responses, let me be clear, the result will be, down the road, rates higher than they would have needed to be. It's plain and simple. We need to borrow money for projects. We will pay more for that money than we likely would have. So if folks want to help keep their rates as reasonable as they can be, I would really urge them to complete the survey.
Does somebody have a list of the people that have not completed it?
I don't, because again, we don't have
It's
any.
all, you have no,
I do not, because that would be, in some ways, that would be a breach of confidentiality. I have no idea.
Are they going to drop the survey off tomorrow? You said you've mailed it out 3 times. I haven't gotten one.
Okay, so we've also asked, if you have not received a survey, please call the Limerick Water District Business Office and we will get one to you. Okay, so I would ask that people do that. Again, if you have not received a survey and you're a customer of the Limerick Water District and you're a residential customer, not a commercial customer, a residential customer, and you have not received a survey, please contact the Limerick Water District and leave a message, and we will get you a survey. If David Tortora comes to your door, or his colleague comes to your door, it's not a scam, please try and cooperate.
If he drops the survey off, I'll gladly fill it out.
Okay? All right.
is there a way, I don't know how there's a way to do it without breaking confidentiality, but, I mean, there are several landlords that have properties, and I know they've been asked to give the names of the tenants to get that. I mean, the landlord's the one paying the water bill. If the tenants aren't filling out the paperwork, and I'm gonna assume that having some of those tenants fill that paperwork out would be beneficial to the water district.
It would.
Is there a way to notify a landlord that, hey, we don't have a response from this address or that address?
I can ask Dave Tortora about that after he does that. You know, what, is there a way that we, without breaching any confidentiality, that we can have a more direct intervention with some of the individuals who, for whatever reason, tenants or not, may not have responded? I will ask him that, John. But again, this is how tight the confidentiality is. I have no idea who's responded and who hasn't. And I shouldn't. You know, that's the whole point. Thank you for your feedback on that. I think that's good. I will ask. Bernie, I'll put your name on the list of people who have not received a survey. Thank you.
All right, next on department reports, I have Rick Richardson, our road commissioner.
Good evening, Rick Richardson, Road Commissioner. I want to start off with the new LED lights are all operational on Emery Corner Road. The stop lines are all painted on all 4 stop locations.
Yes.
And they were up
Thank you.
Thursday afternoon,
What time did they go live?
close to 1 o'clock.
All right, all right.
I figured lunchtime, but
You texted me, I'll just look.
I took
actually.
pictures and
Yeah,
sent them to you.
You did.
And no one has run them.
No.
Is that untrue?
No one has run them over, nobody's run them.
Run them over and no one has, we have witnessed no one running them through them.
There's a couple of roll-throughs, but they slow right down and just grab a gear.
Well,
That's right.
yeah.
Sawyer's Mountain Road, the 2 sections that they paved 2 years ago, had a few washouts up there. We addressed that. Where the turnaround is, there was a plugged up culvert, and we redirected the ditch coming off of Sawyer's Mountain, the road going to the mountain, to the ditch line. So we took care of that. We had a really bad plugged up culvert, and I want to thank the fire department for bringing a truck up and assisting us. And of course, Charles was manning the hose and jetted it right out and made it happen. So we didn't have to dig it all up, cleaned it out. Stone Hill Road, last week, we managed to get all the hazardous trees that were marked on by Neil Gabatrix and Bob Ledge's house. Black Bear Tree Company helped us out. We got everything down safely, and then Thursday we cleaned everything up, all the wood, the brush, and the debris. There's a lot more hazardous trees that need to be addressed in town, but we're doing what we can with the budget and trying to take care of as many as we can this year. And jumping over to the, on another article, the turnarounds, if you'd like, I will update this even more with numbers for you. And I'd like to share this with our plowing contractor, Jeff Cesario, and get him a copy of it, and maybe that'll help him out and help us all out, be familiar with all the turnarounds. I'm pretty sure he's got it all marked down, but it doesn't hurt to have an updated list. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And I have Cindy Smith, the librarian.
Good evening. So we are having our book sale currently, and that will end on July 2nd or 3rd, whatever the Wednesday is.
July 2nd.
2nd. And then we'll be closed that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because
We're always closed on Thursday. The 4th is a Friday. That building will be closed, and we are being closed on all Saturdays in July and the first 2 in August. And we've started our summer reading program. That's a 7-week program. The kids can sign up anytime. This is a program where you read books at home and keep track of it, and then you come in and you put a sticker on your nameplate that's on the wall. And we have craft days every Wednesday at 10 a.m., and we ask people to sign up for that if they think they're coming. So we'll be sure to have enough crafts. We're having the tiny art exhibit for the month of July, so we're passing out the little tiny 3-inch by 3-inch art canvases that you can take home and do your artwork and bring it back, and we will display it. We have a lot turned in already. We have the creative writing this Friday. That will be in the basement. All our crafts are taking place in the basement. And I see some giggles over here. It's distracting me.
Sorry.
So one of the things that was kind of interesting that happened is I got a phone call from somebody in North Carolina. And they are doing research on 2 women that were in the 1800s, lived here in Limerick, and it was after the Civil War. They went down to North Carolina to teach the freed slaves how to read and write. And so they are buried here in Limerick. And the school in North Carolina is being, can't think of the word, renovated, restored. It had eventually turned into a home and then a thrift shop, and now they've realized that of the 160 freedmen schools that were started after the Civil War, this is the only building still standing. So Susan Hayes and Esther Hayes are the 2 women that I'm talking about. And Susan purchased the piece of land for $50 and sold it. They put the school on it, and then she sold it to them for $1. And so I have talked a little bit with Davelyn Hayes. She looked up her family history, and the other people from North Carolina, they have copies of letters that the 2 sisters wrote to each other talking about their teaching the people how to read and write. And I did go to the cemetery here in Limerick, the Hillside Cemetery by the church, and one of the headstones is tipped over. So the grave is hollowed out because probably the casket has degraded, and the base of the headstone is tipped, and then the headstone tipped over backwards. So my question is about the cemetery. As I was walking through, I saw many headstones that had tipped over, were broken. The lawnmower is kind of going over the top of them. Some of them are propped up on their bases, and some are not. And I'm wondering, how do we fix those? Can anybody just go in and try and fix one? Do we have to get permission to do that? Does anybody know who's in charge of that cemetery?
There's a cemetery committee in town, so I got a call about the cemetery that I own on my property.
So the cemetery committee for the little small cemeteries is mainly for veterans. Am I correct? They care for any cemetery that has a veteran in it, and they only care for the headstone and the grass, I guess, for that headstone. So,
Could we ask them if they're willing to do?
Are you allowed to? Can you?
The church on the hill, I believe, owns one section, and then the hillside cemetery, it looks like it's all one cemetery, but it's split by,
We take care of
Take care
it.
of half, they take care of half, right?
right.
We have it mowed in one of our contracts. But can you just fix headstones?
I wouldn't see why not. I mean, I would think that would be a, I mean, it's,
The research club had someone come and talk to them about the procedure for doing it, and it's kind of complicated
for fixing them?
for fixing.
Well, like we chatted too,
People are
like
probably
it's super
too
heavy. Like these pieces are like
Right.
super
So
heavy
I
too.
looked up the Maine Old Cemetery Association,
Yeah.
called MOCA, and what I read was they will teach you how to repair one of the slate headstones. That's all they do. They do the slate ones. The one I'm talking about is not slate. It was estimated, I took a picture and I showed it to someone, and that person said, well, the part that's on the ground looks like it probably weighs around 250 pounds, and the base probably is about 400 pounds. So it's quite substantial. It's not that thin slate.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out, I mean, I'm sure we could find funding to do it. It's a matter of finding someone to do it and do it properly. Do you know who put on that program?
It was the Maine Old Cemetery. It was the Maine Old Cemetery. Yeah. Yeah, because I think it was Wendy Brock, not Wendy. Kara Kent. It was
Oh,
Kara
that's
Kent,
right.
who used to live here in Limerick.
That's right.
And
Can they recommend somebody? Did you ask if they could recommend somebody?
I did not reach out to anybody. I just went to their website and looked and said, oh, it says they do these trainings on slate headstones. The one I'm talking about.
Heritage Memorial does a lot of work up there on stones, so you call them and ask for Forrest.
Forest,
And he'll probably tell you what route to go.
right, Heritage Memorial in Sanford.
Yeah.
And that was one of the people I was going to call and see if he knew of somebody or he himself. But it means bringing in some dirt to fill in that low spot. And but I was surprised to hear that we had two people here from Limerick, and she raised the money from her friends in the north to buy that piece of property to put the school on. And like I said, they were called Freedman Schools. So,
Do you want to make that phone call and then keep me posted?
yeah,
Okay.
I'll reach out to Forrest and perhaps Kara. I don't know that that one's gonna work out, but, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I bring something up? It probably should come up under new business because we're talking about cemeteries. I had a person in town who never complains about anything express a concern about the entrance going into the old cemetery. The ditch is all plugged up and it's washed over, and he's filled it in several times. He was wondering if there was some way we could put coal patch on that to hold that. And I got with Ricky this morning and asked him if he could check with his contact at the state, because that's really their responsibility to maintain that culvert and clean the ditch out. But the state in their infinite wisdom is probably gonna take forever.
We've asked them time after time to fix it.
I mean, if you gotta get a couple tons of coal patch or something just to put on to help hold that.
You talking about going out of town on the right side?
Yep. Yeah. Not the new one, the old cemetery, the middle entrance going into the old cemetery, across from Jerry Cody's driveway. Yeah, the annex is bad too, but that middle one is pretty bad. The ditch is all plugged up. If we get a heavy rain, it's gonna wash out, and the state will have to come out then, but it's just, do we give them a chance to respond to that, to see if they'll respond to it, and then,
I'd give them a month and see if not, and then if they don't,
You're talking about the state, you're supposed to be doing a ditch for me up in Parsonsville, I'd call them. 2 years. You're supposed to do it this summer,
but yet you'll drive somewhere strange and there'll be 42 guys in orange vests doing a 100-foot stretch of road that looks fine.
just food for thought if we maybe keep it on the docket here so we can keep track of it.
All right.
And we have the last report I saw, we have a Highland Cemetery account, so we have some money.
Okay, that's,
So I think we could find the funds to do it, if we can do it. So there is some, the last report had, I'd have to look, but there was several $1,000s, I think, in the,
I got a call a few weeks ago from somebody that wanted to know if they could come clean up that little cemetery across the street from my house. I don't know who it was. They were asking my permission to come onto my land. I said, absolutely. Love to have you come clean it up.
well, let's see what happens in a month.
Might have been our cemetery committee.
Yeah.
Or the Boy Scouts, I know.
They didn't say
They're not
No, it
cleaning
might be
up,
the
they're
Boy
not,
Scouts.
if there's like they're cleaning up the whole cemetery.
Yeah,
They're raking it all out and everything else.
Yeah, the majority of the cemeteries, it has like 1 or 2 vets in it, and they're cleaning up like the other like 7.
There's probably 10 people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're old, those stones are like super old. Just a small cemetery.
All right.
It was a few weeks ago, I don't remember the person's name.
All right, we are moving on to old business. Review of legal accounts. There is no legal bill this week. Lights for the municipal building. Alicia?
Also, on the legal account thing, before I forget, I think I forwarded it to the board. There's nothing else to keep with our new lawyer company. There's no
Yes.
extra contract or money involved. It's just, and we can cancel with them at any time that we want, so.
Perfect.
Lights, so that is supposed to happen here on July 11th. So we have the Masonic 3rd floor, the Grange Hall, and then the code office right now. Those are the 3 areas.
Perfect. Review of policies. There's a couple new areas to address under the personnel policy.
We talked about trading out the word sick, so we don't have sick leave or sick time here. We have EPL, unpaid leave time now. And I know you had voted to change the word, but where the sick leave is used in the sentences isn't just a quick like swap of words that would make sense there. So I think it needs a little bit of review and revamping.
All right, we will review this, and I just know this is the first time I'm seeing it, so.
Well, we had changed, the things we had changed with the so we determined that this was in there, and like I said, that we would change it over to EPL, but if you look at it, it doesn't, you can't just change the wording.
Yeah, EPL does not entitle any employee who is eligible to accrue sick leave hours under the town policies to any additional hours that are already allocated in sick accruals.
It could be just getting rid of some of these sentences, but
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable enough just to have doing that, so.
All right, well, we will come with recommended changes July
Keep it on.
7th. Municipal parking lot paving update. We do have 2 proposals here, so we will open them. Somebody else wants to open one of them? There is.
You got a knife home?
Take one, pass it down. I think there. Yeah, we each got one. So this first one is from BH2M. Can't imagine that's the full price.
How many did they give? Huh? How many did they give Sebago Techniques? Is there another one in that clip? Or is that all?
I think there's one that clipped. There's one that's clipped. There's 5. They gave us 5.
I see some pricing on page 7, but I don't know if there's. I'll put this with Howard. So. I guess that's. You guys might be more knowledgeable in this. Page 7, under the summary of fees, is that the number? What was that? In the BH2M, yep.
That's what we talked about.
So the following are our estimated fees for the scope of work as outlined above, which is boundary surveys and existing conditions, geotechnical investigations, schematic design, design development, municipal site plan permitting, construction documents, and bidding for a total of $55,000.
What usually happens on these, Brady, once these bids are read, we'll have to schedule a closed door workshop where we sit down and go over with the firm exactly what they're doing and compare between the two firms.
Yep. And the Sebago Technics proposal for site planning, surveying, site engineering, and preparation of construction documents. Those numbers don't add up, right? Is that my math being weird, or?
Yeah, 19 and 9 is
19,000.
19 and 6
Oh,
is
yeah.
25 and
No,
3
they
is
are.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
25.
I went to Old Orchard Beach
3,
Schools, sorry.
and 1.
$30,200 for the drawing of the plan. So we will schedule meetings, interviews with them. Is there a date that you want to do those?
Why don't we wait till after the holiday? I asked Alicia if she would send a letter to the 2 companies that submitted to tell them we received their bids, and within the next week and a half or 10 days, we will schedule some meetings with it.
All right.
And go from there.
Perfect. John, is there any update on the overlook cameras?
Yeah, I got an email, a phone message. They set up a temporary thing up there to test the signal for a period of, I think, 5 or 7 days, and they have determined that it does have consistent cell phone signal without any interruption, and they're putting together a proposal to put a cellular camera up there. And I told them that it needs to include some sort of buyback for the equipment that they sold us that's there.
Okay, and that's from Cunningham?
No, Minuteman.
Minuteman. Okay. If that, we can wait till we get that back, never mind. Review winter maintenance road list and the snowplow turnarounds, vote on the few changes. Stan has given us some proposed changes, but I think it would be better to wait until we have the turnaround list with the numbers, so we will keep that on the agenda. Purchase order policy. I know Howard was working on some changes and he is not here tonight. So I think we can possibly hold off till Howard is back. Alicia, do you have anything on the Spectrum invoices?
So I spoke with our rep again, just to clarify exactly what is in this room. So she clarified again that we can disconnect the internet that's attached to this one bill and 2 boxes. We will still have 1 cable box and the bill will become 0. So we're allowed to have 1 free TV service with 1 box. So if the board is great with it, I'm going to call and cancel the bill that is $119, $120 a month.
I make a motion to authorize Alicia to cancel the Spectrum bill for this building that is totaling $119 and change a month.
Second.
Get the bill down to 0.
Second motion.
Motion to second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right. Update on the CDBG paperwork. We will have those signed at the end of the meeting. Yep.
Gail, Libby, could we have you made a decision regarding the award, the condition they've placed on it, that someone attend the training workshop? And if you haven't, could we just put it on the agenda so we don't lose track of it, because we won't get the award unless we have someone go?
Yep, and I think that was the, my understanding was that we are waiting until we have more information on it, because...
And you've called her to ask?
No, in the letter that I received, it said that more information would be to follow. So...
Right, or you may contact, or you may telephone her at this number, okay. All right. She'll send everything to Catherine Proctor unless you advise her different. So if you called Deborah Johnson, she'd change the...
Okay.
And it'll be on, you're going to leave it on the agenda?
Yep.
So we don't lose sight. Thank you.
That can't be somebody from the water district that attends that? That's their
I'm
job.
not sure. Understand, the select board, this is a town project. And the select board a member of the select board has to sign, you're going to sign all these documents. You're going to, somebody has to attend the monthly meetings during the execution of the project. Katie Proctor did that before. Gil Harris did that before. And it would be advisable if you all knew the details. That's up to you. Thank you.
When you call her, will you ask her if she has any updates on the meeting that we need to attend?
Happy to.
Thank you. Bernie, is there any update on the bush hogging behind the municipal building?
Well, bush hogging is kind of a generic term. Howard and I and Ricky looked that over. You can't get out there and bush hog it. There's all kinds of paver blocks out there that are spread everywhere. Those have to be picked up before you can do anything. And I think the way we talked, the way all the water comes down there, Ricky figured he could take in 3 hours or so with a bulldozer and level that out if all the stuff was picked up and divert the water kind of to one corner. And we're also going to need to dig and see where the ledge is out there. And he said he would be willing to do that. We'll have to sit down and lay out a grid pattern and maybe hold off till we pick an engineering firm and let them come out and look at it. And either they can tell us what they want or they lay out the grid pattern and we dig accordingly.
How much will it cost to get it looking reasonably attractive? Well, $500? I make a motion that we authorize Rick Richardson to spend no more than $750 to make the rear of the municipal building mowed, bush hog, look respectable, whatever however you want to put it.
We'll second that.
Can I amend that? Would you, can you get a couple high school kids out there to pick those paver blocks up and set them over by the shed, and eventually we'll take and haul them down in back of the dump, because they're not going to stay there when they start working.
Okay, the paver blocks are the same ones, I believe, that came off the ramp on the town hall. So
Well, those should be all in a pile over here.
Well, they're screwed all over
They're
that guy.
screwed all over, and they used them up in there.
We don't want to bury those. So once. What's that? They can go back to the Yeah, they're all piled up out here next to the shed. Oh.
To put where?
To put
We're not
where?
putting them
Where
back
they
at the
gonna
brick
put
town
'em?
hall. For what reason?
We'll present plans. We have plans.
I think that we just cleaned that basement out for the most part. We're not going to put
We've
1,000.
spent more money moving those stupid bricks than they're worth.
I don't know why they came down.
Because somebody complained that they were stolen. And because the previous road commissioner who removed them, or I don't even, let me back that up. I think it was your father, they removed them. And he brought them to his house because there was no other place to put them. And somebody stood at the podium and said, he stole our bricks. So we said, bring them back to town property. And he said, dump them out here. So that's what we did because.
Just like them, there's other papers in that brick town hall now, being stored.
There is?
Yes, there is, unless you threw them out.
I don't think they threw them out. The only thing that's in is some of that dolometric cement or something that's going to be harder than rocks by the time you use it.
Yeah, but the papers are there. Check on the stairwell. Give them away. No. It can be used.
Well, set them down back of the dump in the storage bins down there. Let them sit down there. They can't.
How much you going to spend? How much you going to spend moving $100 worth of bricks? I mean, we've already moved them twice, right?
They
Get
got to
rid of the
move.
bricks.
They got to move when they do the project. So
Yeah.
let's move them one time and be done with it.
Can you include removing the bricks and getting rid of them?
Spoke with my brother about the dozer, and we took a peek at it, and he can shape it all up and smooth it out. As far as the bricks go,
How many are
Do you
there?
need somebody to pick bricks before you do that?
No, I'm like,
Sure.
I can pick
That,
some bricks.
that's not in your price of picking the bricks?
well, we talked about it with Bernie and Howard, and we came to the conclusion if we could get,
Couple high school kids.
to just pick them up and put them in the pile with the rest of the bricks, we could go out there and shape it back up and seed it back in.
How many bricks are
How
there?
many bricks we
Probably
talking?
100.
Oh, that ain't nothing.
Wade and I will do it.
We, if it didn't get done, we were just gonna just take care. There's a wheelbarrow sitting out there and everything, so. That's what
Judy
we-
Judy was out there loading them on a wheelbarrow, trying to push a wheelbarrow. That's a little ridiculous.
The things we worry
Let's,
about, huh?
I know.
Bricks?
How soon would you get to it? I'm not rushing you, but can we have a couple weeks?
Oh, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Then maybe, let's see, I think we can find a couple volunteers to pick the bricks.
If not, we'll take care of it.
By noon on Thursday.
Everybody has to go pick up 5 bricks.
I'm sure there's some seniors or whatever that are coming up that need community service hours that we could maybe get out there. But we'll find somebody to pick the bricks. And I want to amend my motion to have Rick's price to remove and dispose of all the bricks out back.
You second?
Second that.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next, we have Spirit of America Award. We do need a recipient by 6:30. Do we have any? We should just get our recommendations to Alicia by tomorrow.
I want to make sure I pronounce it right, but I make a motion that we post.
Confidential? Like a surprise?
It is, but I don't think he'll mind. Post home, somebody who's previously passed away, posthumously, I don't know,
Posthumously.
posthumously, I'm sorry, to Sonny LePage. he gave a lot of time and, to the town and volunteered. So therefore I don't, he won't know unless somebody tells him.
So is that who we want to use?
Is there a second on that?
Second it.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That passes. Alicia, do you have any update on the tree work?
So I went back to the 3 quotes that we got before. I heard back from 2 of them that their bids would still be good through the fall. Very respectful emails back to one I did not hear from. They also were the highest bidder, so I don't know if they're just choosing not to respond or maybe they haven't got the email yet. But I don't know if we are looking to move forward and trying to figure out that money sooner than later or what the plan was, but the lowest bid that we have looks like 17.
Well, I think we'll definitely have to move money.
Yes.
And probably before the November ballot because...
Yeah, for fall, if we're... I think we just want to, at least if you're picking one and getting on a schedule or what the plan is.
If we're just gonna move money and not raise additional money, we should just do a quick special town meeting here. I mean, we wait till November. I mean, these people
Yeah,
are
that's what I
gonna
was
be booked
saying.
up, and then they're gonna say, well, winter's coming, let's deal with it in the spring.
Yeah,
And
I
we get
don't-
one winter
yeah.
storm and all those trees are gonna fall. So I would say we should, at some point, you know, let's look at some of this little stuff we gotta do and have a small special town meeting early September or something after everybody's through the summer and people are around and they can, willing to attend it.
Yep.
But to move it to November is too far out.
All right.
You don't have to do that. We're good.
Okay. The TAN update, we do have the tax anticipation note here for me to sign tonight. Do we need a motion on that?
We've already approved it.
Okay.
Did you get all the forms though? When she showed me those today, she didn't have everything. Because Alyssa sent an email with an engagement letter and other stuff. And I don't believe that's in that package, or is it? The only thing she had was the form we signed for the bank and the TAN certificate to sign by you. And so I guess,
There's only one thing on here that needs a signature, so I will make sure, I can forward that email.
you have that email, right?
Yep.
The
Just
last
for-
email?
The last email, she had an engagement letter that we needed to sign because Alyssa is not at Jensen Baird anymore. She is at a different law firm, so we just needed to sign her engagement letter to finish.
Is last thing an email attached? I printed the last email for Julie to see because she didn't have that or couldn't find that email. But I don't think that had an attachment.
An engagement
With it.
letter. Attached to the following documents to be executed in connection with the town's tax anticipation note. An engagement letter from my firm to serve.
That one.
Yep. A general certificate regarding the authorization, arborage certificate. Yeah.
And we need that second item, which is an order for the select board, which we should be approving tonight. Should be part of tonight's meeting minutes.
Yep. In order.
Send that to
So
me.
she can have it back. The general certificate you have,
Yep.
I don't think I've seen the arbitrage certificate in there. And there's not a town EIN form in there. So. Yes. Did you see those attachments on the, I don't know if it's just not coming up because it's my phone.
I know, you want me to go print them?
If they're there,
I go check it.
you're gonna have to.
All right. We will circle back to this before the meeting's over. Moving on to new business, we have signing municipal deed. this is a tax-acquired property that was bought back by the original owners. Anybody wants to look at that? We need to set up a public hearing for the Pepperell Mill Restaurant. They would like to do it on July 7th. They do have the application is here. So I make a motion we set up a public hearing for the Pepperell Mill Restaurant on 7/7 at 7 p.m. with the normal select board meeting to follow after.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. The Family Medical Leave Act by the state of Maine, quarterly reporting is required. I know I inquired about it to see who is responsible for it, and I am just waiting to hear. I will follow up with our treasurer again to see if she has heard from the payroll company. And then I have approved transfer station application. Transfer station is looking to approve a new employee down there.
Is there, I didn't see anything in our packet on them, or
On what?
is there an application?
There is.
Is this an additional person?
This is the one that was voted on town meeting, an extra person just supposed to be from May to October. That's out of the budget. We have one applicant.
And just refresh us on why we need the additional person? Can you just, so busy?
Do we need to, I mean, if it was voted on, it's in the budget, do we have to approve it still, yeah?
You have to approve every employee.
So is there a motion?
So moved.
I'm not seeing a second. There is no second on the motion. Alicia, do you have anything on the November ballot items?
So we need to start talking about what exactly you want to put on that. They'll be due September 2nd. So right now, I have disbursement warrant ordinance changing of this number of signatures, an ordinance for TV filming, ordinance for our earned paid leave, which was recommended by our lawyer when we put that question out just a little bit ago. There was a question needing more money for our auditor. The question for the fire truck restoration, the dog ordinance when our animal control officer comes back, impact fee, which would be Stan, and we talked about, we'd gotten a proposal from Otis, which I actually have an email out to Pine State Elevator. If we were keeping them, that's something we chatted about. For the cost of that, we would need to raise and appropriate. Don't know.
We got 2 elevators in town. Shouldn't we have the one company do both of them?
Yeah, Vinny doesn't have a contract with Pine State, and I just got his contact person. That's who I've reached out to. We don't technically have a contract with Otis. We have an amount that we are paying through to the fall with them, but she said we haven't signed any new contracts, so she'd asked if I wanted to, and I said not at this time. So I'm just waiting to have Pine State come back and see what they can do for us.
Yeah, the one at the fire station is still under warranty, so that's...
Yeah.
But, you know, they got to be inspected. I think it's June, too. We thought it was year, and it's not. It's every June, every elevator has to be inspected.
Yeah.
So we ought to have one company do both of them. You know, same thing on the sprinkler system for here and up there. We ought to have one company do both. That sprinkler system's still under warranty.
Should we get, for bids for the next budget season? And then
Yep.
see what company we want to use?
Yep.
So get bids for budget.
Yeah.
So not anything on the November ballot then?
I would put on the November ballot, I would wait and just put in next year's budget.
Yep, okay.
Okay, I am just going to go back to the tax anticipation note.
I make a motion we sign all the necessary paperwork for the tax anticipation note.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor? All right, we will sign that after the meeting. Or I will, I don't. All right, and then appoint a citizen's advocate.
So that was something that Stan talked about last week, and he said that we needed to have somebody be appointed to be a citizen's advocate if we deal with FEMA moving forward or SAM.gov. That would be the only way that our funds we would get our funds. So I had taken note on that and added it. I don't know who that person.
Does it have to be a citizen of Limerick?
I would assume. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just somebody who can deal with that, like I said, that has the title. I'm not sure. I hadn't heard of that, but
Gail?
I don't want to. I don't know. I can ask Stan exactly. That's what I had.
We had one before. We had one, I know, because I remember motioning to appoint, I think it was Stan, the citizen's advocate. It was for, I think, the fire department project. I remember I was on the board. I had to appoint a citizen's advocate at one point, and it was. Fire department project? I don't know if it was. It was. It's. With all due respect, it's a. I don't want to say this. The position doesn't get used unless it absolutely needs to, and it.
Do you have the
very
minutes?
rarely has to.
The minutes from last week, because I might have written a little bit more in it.
So I make a motion we appoint Alicia to be our citizen's advocate.
I would be glad to do that.
Assuming they don't have to be an in-town resident.
I will second that.
I would be glad to do that as a citizen of Limerick.
I wanted to just see this.
There is a motion and a second.
Yep.
All those in favor? Opposed? Did you vote in favor? Yeah. Okay.
She gonna attend meetings if we apply for grants with FEMA or other.
Alicia, do you accept the position?
Yeah, I can.
I'm sure Alicia would do everything that is needed for this position.
I know we've had the position
I will
in
find
town
out
before.
more. I know.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. I've dealt with
It
several
was-
federal grants, and I never heard of a citizen's advocate.
It was something that came up last time
Really?
as well. I know for a fact it was, and I want to say
We definitely talked about it
we've
before. I just
appointed
can't
somebody
remember
before.
how.
I think it might have been Stan. I could be wrong.
Did we vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
The 7th at 7 p.m. with the select board
Perfect. I
meeting to
will let her
follow.
know. Okay.
I open it up to hearing as citizens. Judy?
I just talked to you about the garden. I know you told me not to move the bricks, but I did move them. They're all in front of each pathway as you come out of each walkway of the garden. So they're all stacked up. there. They aren't scattered everywhere anymore. I did pick them up. And again, I can get someone just to back up with a pickup truck and load them up. I can't see restacking them back down here where they were. If you're gonna haul them down to the transfer station, I just assume just drop off what I take out of the garden down to the transfer
Rick's gonna
station.
take care of them and dispose of them.
I'm just wanting you to know that I did pick them up. I did walk them almost all day Sunday, just to make sure that they weren't. Some of them was way over. I think what it was is when we took out the railroad ties, some of them was on the edges of the inside of the railroad tie, and a lot of them got pushed way down. So like I said, but I did get up, all that I could see. I went out past where the fence was, because some of them landed out there. But he was willing to, as I told Bernie, he was willing to come down when I got everything of mine out of there. He was going to mulch it all down, but Bernie asked me not to have anyone do that because they'd rather test or whatever you're going to be doing with the soil, the kind of where it
They're going to
is.
have to dig some test pits out there, but they're going to have to try to slope it until they do something out there to divert the water from running down the way it does down the middle.
Okay, like I said, because I could get somebody to come up and do the first couple of beds in the front where the white fence was. Because one of the kids did mow in front of the fence on this side, but I told him that wasn't what I hired him to come up to do. Because again, that always had, like this, used to have regular page come down October and just hayfield.
I'd say let's.
And it's on the outside of the fence, when we was doing the garden, when he was in it active, he was actually mowing the outside area of the garden all the way up to the tree level. I mean, which, again, that wasn't part of the garden. It was outside the garden, just to make it look respectful. But like I said, I'm willing to get somebody to come up with a pickup truck, just back up and fill the bricks in the trucks. I can get a couple kids to do that. But like I said, I just couldn't see unloading them back down there. Then have to have somebody come up and load even more to go down to the dump. But
Well, we don't really want to put them at the transfer station, to be honest, because they don't have, I mean, they could throw them in a, where would you put those? In with the,
Why can't you,
They'll get buried eventually.
do we pay to get rid of them, or do they? No?
why can't you store them out back where those old bins are?
I know there was someone on Facebook that had, this was like probably a month ago, looking for some free bricks, but I didn't dare say that because I thought, well, they were really mine, I don't own them. And
We already voted to have, I appreciate your offer. We voted to let Rick clean it up, get rid of the bricks, dispose of the bricks. We've moved the bricks twice already. Now we'll be moving them 3 or 4 times, storing them at the transfer station for God knows when. I think
I just,
they're pavers.
I'm sure someone would want them for free.
they probably,
I'm almost positive.
they probably haul them off.
If they put them in the bunkers, then if Gail's committee has something they can do with them, they're gonna be down there forever. I don't know what your plans are, but it's too bad just to bury them.
Like I said,
Well, you're throwing a fit up there. What do you, speak your mind?
We present things to the board and to the budget committee during a budget season, and we'll be glad to do that then. If you want us to do it sooner, we will. Okay? If somebody will listen.
But if they gotta move them, why can't they just sit them down there with it'll be good stored down there. They'll always be.
Not do what they did.
well, like I said, again, we was invited to use the bricks because it was like from that ramp you had at the brick town hall. They hauled them down here when they replaced that ramp.
We didn't have anything to do with that. The selectmen took care of that.
Well, again, that's where they came from, and they
Yeah, I
hauled
think
them
you were the
down
one that
here.
asked where the bricks went, quite frankly.
Yes, they were
And-
out here,
No,
stacked on a heap.
you asked where they went when they were taken from the brick town hall and where they were. That's when we had them moved from the first location down here, so they were brought back to town property, because,
First thing I saw was they were out here beside this building.
Well, anyway, I just kind of want to see it here. Like I said, we did start the garden. The town was nice enough to let us do it. A lot of people did enjoy it. There was some that I told them to come up and dig up some of the wildflowers or whatever they wanted, if they wanted to. If not, I told them they're just gonna get cut down anyway, so. But like I said, I'm offering to do whatever, because like I said, I did say that for starting it, we'd put it back to what it was, which was just a hayfield. It's just what it is, but anyway.
Judy, I think you were probably in transit on your way up here, but earlier in the meeting, we voted to nominate Sonny posthumously for the Spirit of America Award for his volunteerism in the town. Yeah. Okay. Judy can accept it on his behalf, yeah.
Thank you, Judy. Any other hearing of citizens? Linda?
First of all, I was just going to forget about this and go home. But I think it's an issue that really needs to be addressed, and I don't know where to go. I know that the board doesn't have anything to do with the water district. But first of all, I'm a citizen of Limerick. I own a lot of property in Limerick. I'm a big taxpayer. But I think that the water district doesn't treat everybody fairly. And I think that somebody needs to do something about it. I know the water district is a quasi-department of the town of Limerick. So that's why I said, well, this is my only public forum that I can come to and bring the issues to light. So, first of all, when I was here, I don't know, what, 6 weeks ago? Something like that, before 62 Washington Street home was burned down. We talked about what would happen once the property was burned down, and I was told that when the house is gone, it's just a piece of land, there'd be no more water bill. Well, that didn't happen. I also know that the two pieces next door to me are both separate lots. They've had the same owner for, who knows, 30, 40 years, have never had a water bill. It goes by their property just like it does mine. I also think there's probably other properties in town, one right behind my property, that I do pay for 2 water bills on the same property, 2 meters on the same property on Mowbray Way, which is off Watson Hill Road. There's a house right there on the corner. It's owned by Arthur Berg. He was the one that tried to stop me from building my second house, and I don't think he pays a water bill there or a sewer bill. The house, I'm told, was condemned, and it's still standing, but mine had to come down. The day after Nancy was removed from the property, my property was condemned. So I just feel that there's, we're not being treated the same. Bud Gilpatrick's property, there's a squatter there now, one of the 30 heirs for that property. I'm sure they're not paying water and sewer there either. There's plenty of properties I could name. I've got a list of 10 of them right now that I don't believe are paying a water and sewer bill, but yet the lines go by their properties too. So what happened is after, when I believe it was John, I don't know if John remembers this, that said that when the house is gone, then it'll stop. Well, it didn't stop. I closed on the property today, so I'm no longer the owner as of right now. The bill was right up until the title company called, and I don't even know what the bill is. I've never received the bill. I know that I was supposed to pay to have the water shut off, so if I paid a shut-off fee and to have them come shut it off, why did the bill continue going until 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I guess it was. So when I got to the closing, I'm saying, wait a minute here. I don't have a copy of that water bill. This is what the title company provided to me. It doesn't explain.
Is it just the water bill, Linda? Because I went and spoke to Aaron because I saw Butch, a couple days later, all you had to pay for was shutting the water off, and then when they build out there, you have to pay to turn it back on.
You gotta pay ready to serve too, even if you're not.
Not for the water.
Only if there's a
sewer.
building on the
Only-
property, and only for sewer.
Only the sewer.
Not for vacant lots.
If you look at the top of that, that was dated the 19th, which was what, 3 days ago? It says, final reading. The meter has been sitting on Stan's desk, is still sitting on Stan's desk, and it's been there for 5 weeks.
Because it's been there for a month and a half almost.
Yes, it has. And Stan had also called me and said, there will be no more water bill. You don't have to pay it. You only have to pay the $35 shut-off. Well, this is what I got, and I don't even know what it's for. There's no breakdown. There's no copy of a bill. There's nothing.
I'll ask him.
So right now, the title company, because I went there today and I said, this is not what I was told by town officials. I mean, I'm not just pulling this out of the sky that just someone came along and said, oh, by the way, you don't have to pay that. I understood I had to pay the $35 shut-off, but then the bill kept going. So, it's not about the money. That isn't the issue. But they're complaining they don't have money in the water district, but yet there's all these properties that they have a right to do this, as Charlie was saying, ready to serve, but yet they're not charging them. So, and John, you said yourself, once the house was gone.
You know that vacant lots do not get charged.
Okay, well, I have a vacant lot that I just sold today.
So, you owned it so up until the time the house was there, when was the house removed?
It was removed 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks or
5 weeks ago.
My understanding, and because I did speak to Aaron, is there is 2 quarters of a ready-to-serve charge, January through March.
January through March. Right.
And then you get charged, if you're 1 day into the second quarter, you pay the fee. So if the house was there on April 1st, you pay for the second quarter.
Well, that wasn't what I was told.
That's my understanding.
That wasn't what I was
So there'd be a
told.
ready-to-serve charge for the sewer alone, and if you got a complaint with that, the sewer district's regulated by the PUC. You have an avenue to go there.
Right. So I
The water
asked
district is
Stan
not.
today.
So
I asked Stan today. This has to be in an ordinance according to Maine law, because I researched it. It has to be in the town's ordinance, okay? Not a water district ordinance, which we don't have in Limerick. It has to be in the town's ordinance what the rule is, because some towns allow it, some towns don't. We don't know if this town allows it or not, because half of the people, I can name 10 of them right now, that do not pay a ready-to-serve charge or a sewer charge and no water charge or other. I did talk to Judy. I know that her son has a well, and that's why I thought she was going to mention it, but her son has a well on his property that Butch's cousin put on years ago because he had a fight with the water district. And they still pay for the sewer ready to serve. So I just don't understand. I mean, there's got to be some sort of ordinance that spells out the rules that everybody follows, not, okay, this one's going to pay full price, this one's not, on and on. And I'm sure it's recorded from that meeting that I came to that it was going to stop when the house burned down, because now I got a vacant lot. So I'm just...
Wouldn't you agree that it was there for January, February, and March?
Yes, and I understand there was...
And it was there in April.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that's the start of the second quarter. So I don't know, how much what did they charge on the closing statement?
I don't know what they're charging for, is what I'm saying. There's no invoice. I said I need to see the invoice.
My understanding, from talking to Aaron, was there was a $35 fee for shutting the water off.
And that's what I was supposed to pay, is what I was told.
And the balance was 2 quarters of ready to serve. So if you take $35 off of $225.90, I don't know what the ready to serve charge is.
Does anyone know? Does anyone here know? I mean...
I don't.
Brady, no, water district. Are you on the water district?
I'm not on the water.
You're on the water district? Well, it goes by.
It goes by, but I don't know what the quarterly charge is. It varies. It depends on how much water you use.
Is your father's place there on water too? He's on town water?
Yeah. It depends on how much water you use, is what your water bill is based on and what the storage bill is based on.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're saying you get paid, if it goes by the street, you got to pay. What they're saying.
Correct.
If you've got a house there.
The
They're tied on the sewer.
that the former tenant, and I probably shouldn't be mentioning names, the day of the former tenant was removed from the property, the shut-off was shut off that day. And when I said to Aaron, I walked over there and I said, the meter's all unhooked. My guy went down and unhooked it. You can go down and get the meter. I'm not going in there. No way, I'm not going in that house. Okay, fine. But that day, it was shut off. That day. I did not use 1 cup of water there, not one. So I'm just going by what I've been told, what Butch has been told, what I've been told, what Stan said to me, and then none of that happened. So that's all I'm saying. I just feel that if you have a public service, water, sewer, whatever, everybody should be treated the same. It's not, this one doesn't have to pay, and that one doesn't have to pay, but that one's going to pay full price, and it's just not right. And that's the only reason I waited 2 hours to be able to say this. So, anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
No, I went to Aaron and asked him, and they said all you had to pay was the water thing. Once it was a vacant lot, they don't charge for a vacant lot.
Correct.
You know, you'd have to pay the shut-off for the water, and the shut-off, and the
And
charge
that's
to
what I
turn
was
it back
told by
on. But if
Stan.
the house was there for the first 2 quarters of the year, you gotta pay for that.
I don't know who Stan talked to. I'm assuming it was Aaron, but Stan called me and said, I've got some good news, or whatever, however he put it. You only have to pay the $35 shut-off. And then when I tried to explain that to Gus, we had an argument about it the other day. It was like he wasn't listening to anything I said. And I said, I went to the town meeting and this is what I was told. And he's saying, well, that isn't what's happening. And so I still haven't even got a bill. I never got a bill for any of it, which is interesting. But yet he puts final reading. Final reading. How did he do a final reading when the meter's been gone since January? So, anyway.
Let me see what I can find out. I'll see what I can find out.
That is my only page right here. I don't know if anyone else wants to see that.
Give me a couple.
When I asked to see the invoice, that's what I was given by the title company.
Give me 2-3 days, I'll see what I can find out.
Well, they're willing to hold the check until an answer is given, and
Yeah, that don't look like a bill to me. In my young mind, I wouldn't pay this bill, but I know that doesn't help. I'll give you that back.
I'm gonna be tied up for a couple days, so let me
Yeah, that's fine.
let me see what I can do the end of the week.
I'll talk to the person who is the title and the paperwork today. He said, I'm willing to hold it before I get out the check. But anyway.
Is there any other hearing of citizens? Seeing none, I look for a motion to adjourn.
The motion we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
See if John can answer the rest of it.
John, can you?
Through these.